Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, using video to market library services. I am Jamie Monchik with the Nicolay Federated Library System in Green Bay, and we have Ann Hamlin with us with the Wisconsin Valley Library Service, and she's going to talk about using video to market. And she gave this presentation at the WLA conference last week, so some of you might have seen it or might have heard about it, and now she's doing it in a webinar format. So we're happy she's doing this for us. And Ann, whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thanks, Jamie. Let's talk about using video to market library services. Just a brief outline of what we'll be covering today. We're going to talk about what's hot for live video and edited video. We'll walk through some statistics and research. Then we'll go through some tools libraries can use to make live and recorded and edited videos. We'll talk about who can and should be making videos, and take a look at my favorite libraries using video right now. Then we'll brainstorm ideas for content and end on talking about how to get permission for your video and who's in front of your camera. So what's hot right now? I'm going to throw a few statistics at you just to kind of get us all in the mood, right? So first, the average person spends 116 minutes on social media. That's 4 minutes shy of an hour, friends. That's an hour, 2 hours. The average American teen spends an average of 9 hours of media daily. So that's TV, movies, computer games, social media, and so on. Consumers are 10 times more likely to click on a video over text or photo. And 85% of Facebook videos are watched without sound. Finally, and this I think is the best fact I'm going to throw at you, there's a 135% increase in organic reach on average when you post a video to Facebook instead of a photo or plain text. So, what's that right now? If you bring out your tablet or your smartphone and you hop on the internet or on social media and you start scrolling, you're going to see videos. Now, because I have a young baby, I have my phone on silent. So when I scroll, I see soundless videos, and usually every single video that I come across has closed captioning or has text. I just saw the chat box pop up. So, and on top of that, so if you take your phone off silent, or if you unmute your computer while you're scrolling, the videos usually start playing with sound. And the videos to hook you right in the first 15 seconds, and then all usually less than 2 minutes. Now, if you're on Facebook and you're scrolling, you'll see these little slideshow videos. So if you had a friend anniversary or a birthday, they'll make a special video, say happy birthday, and show you all your love from your friends, all their statuses. I see a lot of like bridal videos. Equivalent to about 70% of the total American adult population. That's a lot, right? And in the chart, you'll see that Facebook is the clear winner on social media platforms. But as we go along, you'll see that you shouldn't write off Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter, just because Facebook is the most popular right now. So let's talk about it.
Ann?
Jamie, did I hear you popping? Yeah.
Are you supposed to be on the screen what's hot right now?
No, I'm not.
Okay, because that's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to just run the slides and I can say next?
I'm now. What slide are you supposed to be on right now?
I'm on the social media slide.
Okay, can you skip to that?
Yep, so social media slide, and I can see that in the audience view now. I wonder why we're having such trouble today.
So it sounds like your audience is seeing and hearing things just fine, but I'm not. So let's keep doing it. It might mean the recording is not good. So you just keep going, and I'm not going to worry if I don't hear anything else.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we're on the social media use screen. And the point here is, Facebook is the social media gateway drug, right? So if you're using another social media platform, chances are you're using Facebook. In the chart here from the same report from the Pew Research Center, they said 93% of Twitter users also have a Facebook, 95% of Instagram users also have a Facebook, and so on. And that's because all the social media platforms like to link to each other, right? They're all integrated. If you share a picture on Instagram, you can also send it to Twitter and Facebook, right? So they're all interrelated. In the second quarter reports from 2017 for Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat, Facebook announced that they reached 2 billion users. And that's huge, 2 billion users, right? Followed by Twitter at 328 and Snapchat at 173. Now, those numbers may seem low, but that's nothing to sneeze at either. Because if we take a look in the chart here, Facebook, yes, it's the most popular. If you look down the age ranges, you'll see that Facebook's retention throughout the age ranges is higher than those of Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, and so on. But there's different profiles of users that use Instagram. If you move to the next column, you'll see that Instagram is most popular between 18 to 49-year-old users, and it swiftly drops off the further you go down in the age ranges. And that applies to Twitter and the other social media profiles. But that's okay because there's different audiences using each platform, so you can use them differently, right? Then, Pew Research Center also stated that 76% or 3/4 of Facebook users visit their profiles daily, 42% of Twitter users, half of Instagram users. Now, the Pew Research Center didn't include Snapchat, so I found a different source. But 166 out of 173 million people on Snapchat visit their profile daily. Now, that statistic blows Facebook out of the water because if you do the math, that's 95% of Snapchat users go on their Snapchat daily. That's huge, right? So, like I mentioned earlier, social media platforms want to be known, like Facebook wants to be known as the ultimate social media platform of the world, right? So social media platforms try to take the best aspects of other social media platforms and incorporate it into their own platform to try and drive down use of other social media platforms. So what that means for us is we always need to be learning and being aware of the changes on the social media platform. And so we can use that for our library services, right? We can use that to market ourselves better. So I wanted to mention just a few quick things that social media platforms are doing currently to kind of borrow from their neighbors. Instagram started incorporating video, specifically testing live video. And gosh, Twitter and Facebook are already doing that. Facebook began testing disappearing videos. And we'll talk about Snapchat in just a little bit here, but man, that's what Snapchat was founded on. That's Snapchat's MO, right? One other cool thing, Snapchat released spectacles in 2016. So they're sunglasses that you can wear around all day and take your 10-second videos and then upload it to your profile later. So that's just one way that they're trying to stay cool and add something new to their market. So we've gone through the statistics and we kind of know who's using what, right? The more youthful are using Twitter and Instagram, the general population is using Facebook with more retention in the older age ranges. And there's a female presence more so on Facebook than the others, right? So how do you go Facebook Live? And going Facebook Live means when you hit that button on your mobile device that's seen on the left, or you click that icon that's seen on the desktop version on your right, it brings your audience right into the space where you are. Going Facebook Live capitalizes on that selfie culture, because when you hit Facebook Live, you face the phone towards yourself. And I'm sure you can flip it around, but the first function is to start recording footage pointing at the user. So to go Facebook Live, you can click the icon on the right or press the Go Live icon on the left. But the first thing it asks you to do before clicking those options is to write a nice description, a description about who you're with, where you are, and what you're talking about. And that's because once you go Facebook Live, if people join you after you've already began talking or after you've already started talking, then your late users can kind of read through your description to catch up with where you are, right? So some tips for going Facebook Live. First of all, you want to tell people when you're going live ahead of time, and you want to remind them often when you're going to be going live. I think the cardinal sin about going Facebook Live is if you were to ever go live without a strong internet connection. It's worse than a dropped call, right? You had this whole thing planned, you've told everybody when you're going live, and then your call drops, your video drops, right? So never go without a strong internet connection, and practice ahead of time to make sure it is a strong internet connection. Again, I wrote, write a great description to catch your audience's attention and outline broadcast. It's important to give people a rundown of what you're talking about and tag people if you're going to be talking with them or about them. While you're live, you can see when people are liking or commenting or sharing on your video. So you should be saying hi and answering their questions. It just makes it an interactive experience, right? A more inclusive experience. And as most importantly, the most important tip is to be creative and go live often. There's nothing more off-putting than going to a Facebook or a website page and seeing that it hasn't been updated in a very long time, right? So fresh content, right? Before we move on to Twitter and Snapchat, on your Facebook homepage, I saw a cool tool. If you go to the bottom left of your screen on the homepage again, you'll find an icon for live video. So it'll open up a map of the world, and there'll be all these blue dots. I zoomed in on the United States mainland, and all these blue dots, if you hover over them, those are live videos that are happening. Now, it just so happened that at this time, there was a press conference happening for the White House. So that press conference was being rebroadcast by those other larger blue dots. The other thing to know about this page is not just business videos that are being noted on this map. I'm sure there's a threshold before a blue dot gets assigned to your area. But if you hover over those blue dots, you'll see personal videos that are going live as well. So just kind of a cool thing, kind of a nerve-wracking thing, because you never know what you're going to get when you scroll over those little dots. So Twitter Live. Twitter Live is like Facebook Live, but you have to download a special app. It's called Periscope. So it's not right in the Twitter app. It's not right in the Twitter desktop option. The first live broadcast was for Wimbledon 2016. So they first tried with the celebrity to get some views, right? Twitter made an agreement with NFL ESPN to broadcast some games last year. I don't know if you remember that. This year they switched to an agreement where they do on-field interviews with athletes and behind-the-scenes stuff, so like going into locker rooms and talking to coaches. And so it's just really neat. It's giving me that insider perspective. So the same tips go for using Twitter Live. You know, tell people before you're going live, tell them often, go live with a strong connection. But when it comes to writing a great description, you should be including hashtags, because that increases discoverability for people who are searching for topics on Twitter. I just thought this image was interesting. You see the BSP library, Barbara S. library from Florida, and they posted a edited Twitter video in response to the New York Public Library's Facebook Live video. So I just thought that was an interesting kind of example of how all the social media platforms are related and intertwined. Snapchat. Let's talk about Snapchat. Snapchat is it's not on a desktop. It is a smartphone app. And when it was originally created, its purpose was to send messages that were images or short videos up to 10 seconds in length that were automatically deleted once the viewer viewed it, the recipient viewed it. Like I said earlier, there's 173 million users, 95% visit visit their Snapchat profiles daily. There's 10 billion daily videos uploaded and viewed. 10 billion, that's insane. That would be like if every Facebook viewer or user added like 2.3 videos a day, right, or whatever. 10 billion, huge. And Snapchat now includes an instant messaging feature, which sounds a lot like Facebook to me, right? Snapchat is super popular with young users. This statistic was included with the Pew Research Center report saying that 56% of the surveyed 18 to 29-year-olds do use Snapchat or an app like Snapchat. Now, the gentleman in the picture here is David Lee King, and he's the digital services director at the Shawnee, Topeka, Kansas library. His title is longer than that, but that's what I remember. But he's awesome, and he writes a technology blog. He is Mr. Technology Friend, and he actually gave a talk on creating video for libraries at the ALA conference in Chicago this year. So you need to look him up, David Lee King. And he wrote a blog post on how to use Snapchat. So I took this image from that because it's kind of fun. So a filter. This is what Snapchat can look like. These are just examples. A filter you can see in the bottom right picture. So that's Santa Claus, right? My sister-in-law Sarah had taken a Snapchat and she put the Santa Claus filter over herself. That's just to illustrate that filters change, especially with the seasonal time of year. So Halloween's coming up. I bet if we pulled out our Snapchat apps right now, there'd probably be like a Halloween-esque one. Sometimes they're just, I've seen some that you can make yourself into an animal, like a woodland creature. They were popular to turn yourself into a doe earlier this year, like a deer. Lots of fun stuff, a lot of scary stuff. So that's kind of fun too. And if you open your mouth, cool things will happen, like lightning bolts will come out or that kind of thing. So geo filter is a little bit different. That's in the bottom left. You can see the downtown Long Beach library created a geo filter. And so geo is related to geography or geographical, right? Places, so towns, I know Eau Claire and Madison and Milwaukee have a geo filter of the city. So you take your image or your video and then you swipe right or left to add a filter, and that's how you find the geo filters, which is kind of awesome because businesses can create a geo filter. Your library can create a geo filter, and it creates this kind of collector's atmosphere. I know friends that have gone on road trips, and every time they stop to get gas or whatever, they would whip out their Snapchat app to see if the place they were at had a filter. Up in the top right, you can see that you can draw on your images or videos. That's the red arrow and line there. Then you can add stickers, that's the octopus and snowman. The possibilities are endless, right? And Snapchat is fun because it's more exclusive. So for social media platforms online, you can easily find people to add them as your friend, right? Well, in Snapchat, you have to know your friend's username or phone number to add them. Most recently, they've added a new feature called Nearby, where if you put that feature on, you can see other Snapchat users that are in your area and add them that way. The point being is you have to know the people that you want to add to your Snapchat instead of just doing like adding friends or connections by going to your friend's profile and adding all their friends, right? It's just a little bit more exclusive, and it relies on word of mouth and friendship. And celebrities have used this for Snapchat, because if you do a simple search, you can find a whole bunch of celebrity usernames, right? Of course, they're not going to put out their phone numbers, but you can add celebrities to do this because they want you to buy whatever they're selling or like their image, so you'll follow whatever they're doing in life, right? Of course, it's probably not like an accurate representation of what their real life is. But celebrities want you to watch what they're doing, right? So celebrities have been leveraging that just like they have on other social media platforms. So how can you start creating videos for your library? Well, you don't need to go out and buy anything. If you have a smartphone, or if you know someone who has a smartphone that you can borrow, you can create a library account for Facebook, well, basically any social media platform. And Snapchat's a little bit trickier, but you can still create a business account or a library account and flip in between your personal account on Snapchat and social media platforms, right? And again, you saw on the other page how easy it is to go Facebook Live right on your smartphone, or if you have a camera on your laptop or desktop, you can definitely go live that way. Now, that's for creating web native content or going live, for Facebook or Twitter, but I don't want you to discount recorded and edited video. There's nothing that beats a video that has lovely transition and some music and maybe some visual effects. So there's a purpose for live video and recorded and edited video. Again, you do not need to go out and buy a fancy dancy camera that's, it's on your screen right now. You can use your cell phone, and you can use your cell phone for sound and footage. But the biggest thing that you should have is a tripod that, if you're like me, when I start filming on my camera, on my cell phone, I start to shake. For some unknown reason, I just get so unruly when I'm shooting footage. So it's best practice to find a tripod for your cell phone. And if that's not in your budget range, then just wedge your cell phone between some books, right? We can all find some books. And make sure you do some test shots, right? So you're going live or you're doing edited video. So, and I know on the screen I have a pretty professional lighting setup with a green screen and a couple backdrops. Well, again, don't let that stop you from getting started creating videos. You don't need all this fancy dancy stuff. And that's because this lovely article on the bottom, how to create high quality videos for social media, for HubSpot, also includes a recipe and how you can go to Menards, Lowe's, whatever, home improvement store, and it gives you a few things that you could buy to put together to create your own lighting system for less than $100. But again, if you don't have $100 and you don't want to go to Menards or whatever, don't let that stop you from starting to make videos, because all you really need to do is find your happy place. And your happy place is a place that you have sole control over. Maybe that's your office, maybe that's a meeting room, maybe that's it at your house, right? But you want to make sure that you can control the ambient noises. So you want to turn off your HVAC if that's really loud, your heat and air conditioning. You want to turn off your dehumidifier if that's roaring in the corner. You want to block out meeting room windows or office windows so you don't distract anybody who's walking by, or they don't distract you. You want to avoid multiple sources of lighting, because that could mess with what your footage turns out to be. So you could put a cloth over a window, or natural light is best. So you could take your recording session outside for natural light. It's best to try and avoid fluorescent light, but again, if fluorescent light is what you have in your space, use it. Don't let that stop you. So again, find your happy place, a place that you can control, a place that you know what's in your camera shot, a place where you can run or start recording test shots to make sure you have what you would like in your frame and you can make adjustments, right? Practice makes perfect. So I really suggest looking up that how to create high quality videos for social media article. And that's in my resource list at the end of the show here, at the end of the song and dance. Okay, so let's pretend that you practiced your video. You rehearsed a couple times, you shot your video, either you went live or you went this route. You recorded and now it's time to edit. Well, you can do that on your tablet or your smartphone. There's tons of free apps to do that. But there's nothing, again, there's nothing that beats a lovely edited video with music and transitions, right? There's tons of software out there. I use Camtasia, and it is like a one-time fee. There's some subscription-based ones too. iMovie is free for Mac users. Microsoft Movie Maker is a free version, but it's awful. But if you want to kind of like dip your toes and see what you can do, that's a free one. I would suggest using anything else. But if that's what you got, that's what you got, you know? Okay. So we talked about going live, and we talked about using recorded film, right, or editing digital film. And now I just want to talk about a few notes for filming. So first, it's really important what you wear, or whoever's in front of the camera really needs to consider what they're wearing, right? And second, it's really important what you wear. Your wardrobe needs to match what you're doing in your video. You know, if you're doing a story time song video, your hands need to stick out in front of your outfit. So maybe wear something that helps your body stand out a little bit more, right? But you don't want your clothes to be the star. You want the content to be the star. Also, we talked about the happy place. Well, Johnny Depp did not check his happy place, so there's like a modern day guy with a cowboy hat on in the back of the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's not cool. And maybe if they had done like a test shot, they might have seen Bill in the background and told him to get out of there. So again, find your happy place that you can control. So who's making the videos? Hey, look at it's my beautiful face, right? You want to find someone who's enthusiastic and okay with being in front of the camera. You want to find someone who hopefully has experience with whatever you're using, so cell phone, camera, what have you, lighting stuff. Maybe it's a team that can work together. Someone has experience shooting footage, and you have another person who is willing to get in front of the camera. But it's most important to be personable and personal. You want someone who can be relaxed or fake that they're being relaxed in front of the camera. Because if you're uncomfortable, it shows through, you know. People can just read that a mile away. Again, you'll need to practice. Make sure to talk with your video team before they even start, just to make sure you're all on the same page if you're not involved with the video making process. And it's always best practice to have a loose script. Now, you don't have to write down every word, but it's important to practice and have that loose script so that you don't forget anything. And that might seem silly, but I mean, I've done presentations before where I've forgotten a slide, right? You just skip over it with your mouth. So it's important that you touch on all your points. So I'm sure there's plenty of us that work in small libraries where it's a staff of less than 3, or maybe it's a staff of 5, but your full, your FTE estimate is way less than 3. So who else can make the videos? Who can take that job off of your plate? Well, you want to find someone who's trusted, and you want to vet their experience. You want to have them practice and show you what they can do, right? So maybe you have a teen advisory group. Maybe you just have someone who's in the library all the time in the youth section, right? And hopefully they're on Snapchat all the time, and you can see that, right? Maybe you find a dedicated storytime grown-up who you see on Facebook all the time. Does your community have a patron with a videography talent, right, or experience? And if there is, do you have a relationship with them? Would they be willing to help you out? Maybe it's time to build a relationship with them, right? Maybe they can teach you. So, but it's important to find consistency, because I mean, you could be sitting there and saying, yeah, this is all great idea. These are all great ideas. And it's really, I can see how it's helpful for other places, but we just don't have time. Well, I'd like to present a challenge. So maybe you say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to not put off this video thing. And every time I have a story time or whatever your library specialty is with programming, maybe you have just awesome adult programming. So you say to yourself, during this awesome program, I'm going to do some kind of video. And maybe that doesn't start with a live video. Maybe that starts with a recorded video that you can edit and put up later. Or if it's a bad footage segment, you can just delete it, right? Everything doesn't have to be live right away. So who's filming? Maybe if you're doing story time and then you're a one person show, you could find that story time grown up and say, hey, can you film me while I do the song? Can you film me while I do the craft? Can you film the kiddos when they're having a dance party, right? So find that program where you can record something to kind of build up your routine, make it a consistent aspect of your day, because then it'll be consistent in how you use it, right? I do have one cheat for those of us out there who are still a little bit hesitant. If you add pictures to Facebook, you can make a video because Facebook has a cheat. If you find the share a photo or video version on your desktop or on your phone, you can upload a whole bunch of photos. I just did one and it said I had a limit of 7. I'm not sure if that's all the time, but I had a limit of seven photos, and I clicked create slideshow, and then it'll say, would you like to add music? And you can select from different selections of music. It'll add transitions for you. But the best part is, even though you just uploaded photos and video and slides, it'll treat your final slideshow like a video. So remember back to our statistics where a video has 135% increased chance of organic reach over just one video, one photo, or one text post. So that's your cheat. If you don't have time, if you're a little nervous, at least you can start making Facebook slideshows with pictures. That's pretty cool. So now the fun stuff. Let's brainstorm ideas for video content. This is my favorite thing to do, right? This is way easier than actually filming, is coming up with all the ideas. But before we start brainstorming, it's so important to have a purpose for your video, a call to action, a reason why you want your audience to be watching. There's no point in making a video just to make a video, right? You want to create a feeling of, show that your library is a resource for the community. Show your library is a safe space for all ages. Show that your library has current programming, current resources, and that will come through with your practicing and writing a loose script. If you don't have a script, you might go off on a tangent. Well, your videos need to be 2 minutes or less, and even better, if your video is like 20 seconds, you can ensure a more successful rate of people finishing your video. So let's talk about brainstorming ideas. Promotion. Most libraries have special events. Maybe you could talk about your rewards for regular library users. Maybe you're going to have a fines-free day. Maybe you're going to have a food for fines day, right? So you could talk about that before the event happens. I'm a big fan about National Ice Cream Day, and maybe you put out displays according to what the national day is, and you could show your displays on how awesome they are. If you could promote an event with insider material. So let's say Santa's going to visit your library. Wouldn't it be kind of awesome to do an interview with Santa before he goes out and greets all the kiddos? I just think that would be really cool. And that goes for anything. Maybe you're doing a pancake breakfast. I know that Deer Park is doing a pancake breakfast coming up. So I would do a behind the scenes for that. Maybe, summer reading. We all have materials way ahead of time. We all have our ideas way ahead of time. But what about sharing those, right? And then book talk. It's what we do. We do it all the time. So why not record those and have them on hand, right? And we can all do book talks on the spot. So that might be a good thing for live, right? The other way that you could make a video relevant is by taking a look at what's in the news or what's hot, what's the buzz, right? So the Invercargill City Libraries and Archives of New Zealand is awesome at edited videos. There was an 83-year-old widow. She's an amateur painter, and she tried to restore a priceless fresco in Spain. And as you can tell from the video, poking a little bit of fun, it did not go well. But they took that as an opportunity, a lighthearted opportunity to ask their patrons not to try to fix library books and return them. I mean, how many of us have seen library books return with that clear, like, packaging tape trying to repair the books? That's not what we want, right? So I found that kind of funny. Some other ideas, staff talent. I mean, people always wonder, like, do you go home at night or do you just sleep here? Yes, we go home at night. But maybe, you know, maybe someone plays the piano really well. Maybe someone's an awesome puppeteer. Maybe someone is a trained opera singer. I don't know. But, or maybe a juggler. We have many talents, and I think it'd be kind of fun to show people behind the scenes what you can do. And speaking about behind the scenes, maybe, I mean, do you have people that walk up to your workroom and say, what are you guys doing back here? Or what are the new books? I want to see. Well, I think those are perfect opportunities, perfect things to put in videos online. You know, maybe you got a new book, a new shipment of YA titles. Maybe you just got the award winners from the year and you want to do a behind the scenes look, that kind of thing. Okay, so you still tell me, Anne, these ideas are awesome, but I just don't have the time to be doing all of this. And what about a patron takeover? What about a volunteer takeover? You hand over your social media platforms for the day to maybe your friends of the library group. Maybe you have a foundation. Maybe you give it to your Storytime moms and they go wild, right? Of course, you want to make sure that they know the guidelines about what they can post and what they shouldn't post and that kind of thing. But it would be kind of awesome to have a patron talk about the best things about their library, right? Talk about making an advocate right there on the spot, right? You make them feel valued, they give you good stuff, everybody wins. So, couple libraries using Snapchat. Down, you'll see Rice Lake Public Library from Wisconsin is on Snapchat. Just remember, though, when you're on Snapchat or social media, again, post content regularly because you want people to be engaged, and that's super important on Snapchat. Like we said, 95% of Snapchat users are on their profiles daily, so they need fresh content. They need fun content, right? Now, our colleague down in the right-hand corner, she does book talks for middle school and high school students in 10-second segments. Because on Snapchat, you can do videos up to 10 seconds in length, but then you can group those videos, right? And it's called a story. So after 24 hours, those videos are erased, and your story will start collecting the 10-second videos that you select all over again. But so she started doing those stories throughout the day, and in this video, she was book talking Rick Riordan series, you know. So that was really awesome to see happening. This is my favorite library doing edited videos right now. This is the Invercargill City Library and Archives in New Zealand. Up in the top right, you'll see mean tweets. Now, if you're a Jimmy Kimmel fan, he has celebrities read mean tweets about themselves. Well, these are librarians reading mean tweets about librarians, and it's really funny. They had a video of a flash mob that was at their library. Another one was two gentlemen doing synchronized shelving. That was pretty funny. And this video on the left here, it was T-Rex using the library, and it ends with him checking out Jurassic Park. So it was pretty hilarious. But notice that video is 1:46. Up on the top right, mean tweets is 1:47, then 1 minute. They're all less than 2 minutes. And you can bet that within the first 15 seconds, they really hook the audience. So it's really fun to watch. So our last slide here, and then we'll have some time for questions, but your first step to making a video is making sure you have permission. Yes, it's important to be in the moment, but it's also important to be thoughtful about what you're doing. Get permission from the person in front of the camera, as well as the people behind the person. Look at the whole shot before you film and see who's in the background there. And check with your library policies, right? See if you have a form for photos, or see if you have a form for videography already. And if you don't have a policy for these, you probably should start building one or drafting one for whoever is in charge of policy presentation to the board. If you do a quick search online for library photo policies, a whole bunch will pop up. Wisconsin Department of Instruction has a form, not a form, they have a website with example policies that are really helpful to get you started, that you can customize yourself. Every library has access to legal advice through their municipality, village, what have you. And it's important to ask who that person is if you need to. It's always nice to have someone legal to look over your legal documents. So policies are legal, right? So you should have someone check those over. And ultimately, your board needs to pass them, of course. And another note here, the Snapchat has a Snapchat Safety Center. And I think that the material it includes applies across social media platforms. It walks parents and youth through how you should be using Snapchat responsibly, you know, asking permission of who's in the background, what you should and should not be posting, that kind of thing. Another cool tool, I thought, I visited the Fort Worth Library in Texas last year. I went to the LEDA conference, and they had a public notice just in their children's area saying, hey, if you're in the vicinity, we're probably taking pictures, so let us know if you don't want us to be in any pictures. And that's nice too, but I'm not sure that you should rely on just a general notice. But again, that's up to your board. It's to your board with what they're comfortable with. You know, they could have a policy and a notice, that kind of thing. What else? Ooh, I think getting permission, although it's not sexy, it could become like a super awesome opportunity to build a relationship with a patron. You walk up to someone and you say, hey, this is a really great library moment. Can I take your picture and use it? And I think that simple conversation, that simple interaction could really bring you some awesome opportunities for advocacy building, right? I think people take ownership of something that they like and want to be out there. They want to be on the front page of the newspaper. Well, some of us do, maybe not all of us, but people like seeing their picture out there promoting something they like. Yes, it's a little uncomfortable. Maybe they're bashful, but think of all those storytime moms who would love to have their kiddos be in a photo, and who would share those videos and pictures with the community, right? They're your community resource. So it's important to ask and then also empower them with the image that you use. So does anybody have any questions? It looks like it's about 1:50. So I hope we left enough time for some questions. Jamie, how'd I do?
Timing is great, and
okay.
A few questions did come in, and as Ann said, if you do have any questions for her, we have about 10 minutes to take some. And
right.
I don't know what happened, like I wasn't hearing any complaints about audio or slides from anyone, so it must have been on my end.
Well, good. I'm glad that was okay.
I don't hear anything. I'm not going to worry about it, but like for the last 20 minutes, it was better. So I don't know how good the recording is going to be. But at least for the people here live, they had a good experience. But anyway, someone asked, do you have to have the Facebook app on your mobile to go live?
No, and there was a slide earlier where I had the mobile version on the left-hand side, and then there's a desktop version on the right. So it looks a little bit different, but if you have a laptop with a camera, usually like newer laptops have a camera built in, and so you should be able to go live with a laptop or even like a tablet too. So that's an option.
Okay, awesome. And then as far as Snapchat, you need in order for people to see your Snapchats, you have to accept them. Is that how it works?
Right. So I'm kind of silly, and I made a Snapchat for the library system. So that's a little bit different than the library. But then I friended my relatives.
Okay.
I friended my relatives because I knew that they had me. And I know Snapchat is a little bit more exclusive, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But just like how we plaster our social media icons everywhere, we need to be doing that with Snapchat as well. We need to, and I should have mentioned that earlier, but we need to be plastering our usernames for everything, everywhere. You know, maybe you have a random cement pole in your middle of your library that is not used for anything, but hey, you should put your social media handles right there. Print out a big sheet of paper with your usernames and put it on that pillar. Put it on your front door. Put it on all of your marketing handouts at the front desk. I could go on, but I'm sure you want me to stop.
But if you are marketing those social media accounts, those accounts should be active, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You should be updating your accounts regularly, adding content. Yeah. And the important thing there is with turnover at a library, you should not be the only one on these accounts.
Right.
There should be multiple people who are aware of these accounts and are added, like on Facebook, you can add administrators to one Facebook page. You can also do that to Twitter. I have not experimented with that on Snapchat, but I used, I used our official email or a username or something like that to create our Snapchat for WVLS. So you just have to dig into that kind of stuff and be open with your colleagues and your social media team or whoever you're working with.
Okay. Another question, what specific apps can I use to edit videos? Which ones have you had good experience with?
Right. Well, I'm a PC gal and I have a baby, so when I go home, my cell phone goes on top of the counter, so she can't reach it. If you're on a tablet, I've seen really good things about iMovie. Camtasia is a desktop app. There's one on, I'm looking at my phone right now, but there is an app for like Androids too. But you just do a simple search and take a look at the reviews. There's other librarians that are doing marketing, so if you do a quick search, I'm sure there's plenty of material out there on apps, especially with like our app advisors. You know, they do that. The Youth Services Institute, I think, had what did they call them? Media mentors. That's what it was. And so there's a very app list on things they recommend.
Okay, awesome.
So I hope that's helpful.
How often do you post videos? If you post to Facebook daily, would you post a short video once a week or more often than that?
I think that's going to be kind of determined by your style. You know, if you commit to stay on to do a video at story time, hopefully that's once a week. I think at minimum once a week would be great. I spoke to and I didn't ask the name, but there was a librarian at WLA last week, and once a month they do a 2-minute or less video on upcoming programs, and they interview a librarian and they talk about stuff. So they do it once a month, and I'm sure they do other things. But I really think that if you're doing video and you start with once a week, you should increase that a little bit. They don't need to be long. Sometimes they can just be long. You know, oh, I did not mention, if you do a live video, it'll be saved to your profile. So
Okay, Anne, I'm not hearing you. Test.
we have a few minutes left here, but we could talk about how important it is for, I know, if you're the video maker at your library, you might get sick of being in front of the camera. And to be honest, it's not my favorite thing to be in front of the camera, but someone has to do it, so I do. And maybe you'll get sick of that.
You're back.
Are you there, Jamie?
Yep, you're back now.
Okay.
Another question.
I'm sorry.
Oh, not your fault at all. How long could a live video be? Should you record an hour-long event?
No.
I was going to say that.
I think, and that was just off the top of my head. You know, like we were talking about earlier, it really should be 2 minutes or less. And 2 minutes to me sounds like a marathon. It really should be a minute or less. Unless you're doing like an interview with Santa and he goes off and on a tangent about something funny. But I think keeping it short and sweet leaves them wanting more.
And I think if you're doing a live video and it's going really well and you're getting a lot of feedback and a lot of comments and likes, then maybe keep it going. So I think you kind of have to judge with, how it's going. I mean, if people are liking and commenting, then keep it going a little bit longer. If you're not getting much, then you want to end it, I think.
Right. You have to really gauge on your audience. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, there's tons of libraries out there doing 20-second videos, and I think that's perfect.
Sure. Another question is, are there any concerns you have encountered about archiving social media platforms, particularly Snapchat?
Yes, and I think that's when going to their online resources comes in handy. You know, all of us know that when you're on social media, there's an increased chance of, negative. Somebody might be offended by something you think is innocent, and there's more chance for offense that way. But I think, as libraries, our web presence should be archived because it is like, once it's written, it's a legal document, especially if it's posted out there.
Sure.
And our records retention schedule, and super sexy topic, but they're putting out a new records retention schedule, and it's finally addressing like digital content, native digital content. So I think we'll need to be seeing what those guidelines say. But just to cover your tuchus and keep the library safe, making sure maybe use a marketing calendar, and that's a whole nother thing that we could talk about. But I document everything I do, basically. So.
Okay. So Anne's slides will be up later today. I will be posting the recording, even though there might there might be some audio glitches before there. So you're showing your resources. Do you have a contact info page as well? There we go. So if you have further questions for Anne, feel free to contact her. And I will say, if you're curious about getting started with just doing some basic video, I know Windows Live is not the best tool, but it's a good place to get started if you're at all hesitant with it. I use it quite a bit, but I know how to manipulate it to make it better. So I layer things
Right. You use what you got.
Well, like if you use Audacity to layer, I mean, you can't use two sounds, so you have to kind of manipulate it. But if you're just if you're curious on just doing some basic video with photos and music, it's a good place to start because it's a drop and it's easy. So that's not a bad place to start as far as a desktop application. Anyway, thank you.
I do have one plug.
Yeah.
Can I do a plug? You are near a WVLS or an Indian Head Federated Library, there's a makerspace collection that rotates, and inside that makerspace collection you can find a camcorder like I had up on the screen earlier, and it also has a lighting setup in there and a microphone. So if you do want to dabble with more professional products and not purchase them, there is the WVLS and Indian Head Federated Library Makerspace kit system. So that's my plug.
That's awesome. Again, thank you so much, Anne, for all of the great information. And again, after we stop today, there will be a survey that pops up. The recording and slides will be available later today. And so thank you to all of you who participated and listened and asked some great questions. And we will talk to you soon. So long.